Bird flu is said to be raising red flags among health officials. The H5N1 is described as a dynamic virus that poses an increasing threat in terms of spillover and pandemic potential. This is according to a paper written by U.S. academics from John Hopkins. The U.S. has reported the death of a patient from Louisiana who died from H5N1 avian influenza, and there have also been reports of cases in the UK as well. So if this begins to spread globally, what can we expect in terms of chicken and even egg prices? And to what extent is all this affecting South Africa, which has gone through its fair share of avian flu cases that has been confined to birds themselves? Well, to discuss further, I'm joined by Izak Breytenbach. He's the CEO of the South African Poultry Association. Thank you very much, Izak, for joining us. So what is the global status of this avian flu that's now affecting humans?
I think that when we talk about avian influenza, the red lights are blinking. We've got a wide outbreak of avian influenza amongst the European Union countries. We have outbreaks in terms of the United States. Most of the poultry producing states are now positive for avian influenza. The amount of virus that's going around is of concern. And South Africa gets most of its avian influenza viruses from Europe when birds migrate south from Europe to South Africa. And therefore, the threat for us in South Africa to have bird flu amongst our chickens is high.
So what do you know about how this is affecting South Africa so far?
At present, we do not have bird flu. We had a terrible outbreak in 2023. It cost the industry 9.5 billion rand. And as you have said, the prices of chicken has gone up at that time because of bird flu. And we need to prevent that. Now, to prevent that, we need to vaccinate against bird flu. And bird flu is a controlled disease, controlled by the Department of Agriculture. And if we want to vaccinate, vaccinations will also be controlled by the Department of Agriculture. And the standards set in terms of biosecurity and the standards set in terms of monitoring to prove that we do not have the disease in the country was set so high that not one farm in South Africa at present has vaccinated.
So apart from speaking to media outlets like us, have you engaged at a government level about this particular issue and raised your concerns?
Absolutely. We were in contact with Minister Steenhuisen's office towards the end of last year. He replied quite quickly and said that he will meet with his Director General in the Department of Agriculture and then revert back to the industry. We are now urgently awaiting a response, and the response should be that we need to meet with the Minister and discuss with him the whole issue about avian influenza, how it's impacting the industry, but not only the industry, how it impacts consumers in terms of food security when we have a large outbreak of avian influenza like in 2023.
Yeah. So what do you think that the government can do in the meantime to almost mitigate the potential problems that could come our way, given everything that you've outlined?
We desperately need more acceptable and practical biosecurity protocols to be enforced by government instead of the very high standards that we need to achieve. We believe that the standards that the industry has in mind is totally sufficient to manage not only the vaccination of the birds, but also a potential outbreak of disease within the birds. Now, just to give some comfort, in France, they vaccinated 20 million ducks. That has almost stopped the infection of avian influenza in the duck population. I think they only had one outbreak, and that is what we're going for. We are not compensated for birds culled. The financial losses is material, and the impact on food security material.
All right, Izak. Well, I wish you all the very best with that, not just for yourselves, but for us as well, because we could be affected potentially by higher eggs and chicken prices. Thank you so much for your time, sir. That was Izak Breitenbach. He's the CEO of the South African Poultry Association.